Before you even board your cruise in 2025, there's one thing that could make or break your entire trip: your medication. With cruise lines quietly tightening medical policies, travelers are being stopped at security, forced to surrender prescriptions, or worse, denied boarding. I've seen this happen to experienced cruisers who thought they packed everything right. But don't worry, this video breaks down exactly how to bring your meds on board the right way. These rules are new, strict, and non-negotiable, so let's make sure you're fully prepared before your vacation turns into a medical scramble. 1. Always keep medications in your carry-on bag. This is the golden rule, no exceptions. In 2025, with cruise lines tightening protocols and luggage delays becoming more frequent due to port congestion, the last thing you want to do is to be separated from essential medication because you packed it in checked luggage. Bags can be delayed, misplaced, or even accidentally routed to the wrong ship. And yes, it happens. A woman on our last sailing missed the entire first day because her bag, with her blood pressure meds, was stuck in port. The crew couldn't release the ship's medical stock without a full workup, and by the time it was sorted, she'd already missed the sail away and was emotionally drained. Even if you've never had an issue, this isn't the year to gamble. Always pack your prescriptions, daily vitamins, EpiPens, just anything medically necessary in that personal bag so it never leaves your side, whether your backpack, tote, or purse. And if you're flying in for your cruise, this applies at the airport too. Checked bags don't care about your refill window. Keep your meds close, secure, and within arm's reach from your front door to your cabin. It's the simplest way to protect your health from the very start of your vacation. 2. Use original prescription packaging. Cruise lines and port authorities are tightening the rules in 2025, especially when it comes to medications in unmarked containers. It might seem convenient to toss pills into a weekly organizer or a Ziploc bag to save space, but doing so can lead to serious issues at embarkation. Security staff and customs agents are trained to flag anything unidentifiable. A retired pharmacist I met last year was delayed for over 90 minutes because she had transferred her medications into unlabeled containers. She had to verbally explain every pill, some of which looked identical. Luckily, she was eventually cleared, but the stress and embarrassment were completely avoidable. To keep things smooth, always travel with medications in their original labeled containers, the ones with your name, dosage, and prescribing doctor clearly printed. It only verifies that the medication is yours, but also ensures compliance with port regulations and avoids suspicion. And this applies to over-the-counter meds too. Even generic allergy pills in an unlabeled bottle can raise red flags. Keep things clean, organized, and clearly marked. Yes, the bottles take up a little bit more space, but it's better than explaining your entire medical history at security. In 2025, clarity is everything when it comes to getting your meds on board without issue. 3. Bring a doctor's note and prescription copies. Even if your meds are packed in the original containers, there's one more layer of protection every cruiser should have in 2025: a signed doctor's letter and copies of your prescriptions. This is especially important for controlled substances, injectables, or medications that might raise questions in foreign ports. One of my fellow passengers had a perfectly valid anti-anxiety medication prescribed by his doctor, but while reboarding in a foreign port, authorities flagged it as a controlled substance. Things got tense fast. Thankfully, he had a doctor's letter in his carry-on explaining the dosage, diagnosis, and medical necessity. That single sheet of paper cleared everything up and avoided what could have turned into a mega nightmare. Make sure your letter includes the full name of each medication, its purpose, dosage, and confirmation that it's medically required. Keep physical copies of your prescriptions in a separate folder from your medication just in case one bag is lost. You might never need this paperwork, but if you do, it's a game changer. Many cruisers assume their labeled bottles are enough, but in 2025, especially with international routes, that's not a risk worth taking. A few extra pages can mean the difference between a smooth boarding and a stressful confrontation at port security. 4. Don't pack a pharmacy. We've all heard the advice: bring enough medication for the full cruise plus a few extra days. And that's still true. But in 2025, cruise lines and port authorities are flagging travelers who show up with bulk quantities that look excessive or suspicious. It's not just about what you bring, it's how much. I once saw a couple bring a full Costco sized box of painkillers for a 10-day trip. Security pulled them aside and they were questioned about whether they were distributing or selling medication on board. It wasn't a fun start to their vacation. The new standard is this: bring what you need for cruise length with a small buffer, usually 1 to 2 weeks extra max. Avoid bringing large factory sealed containers and opt for the smaller travel size bottles when possible. Repackaging into smaller original containers from your pharmacy is also a good move. Just don't make the mistake of unlabeled plastic bags. Excessive quantities raise flags with both cruise lines and international customs. Even if your intent's innocent, overpacking meds could create unnecessary scrutiny or delay. In short, don't turn your toiletry bag into a portable pharmacy. Bring enough to stay safe, but not enough to trigger a red alert. 5. Plan for refrigeration ahead of time. If your medication needs refrigeration, don't assume your cabin mini fridge will be up to the task. In most cases, it won't be. Mini fridges in cruise cabins are built for drinks and snacks, not for maintaining the safe, consistent temperatures that insulin, biologics, or certain eye drops require. A traveler on our Alaska cruise brought insulin assuming the in-room fridge would suffice. Within hours, she noticed the fridge was barely cool and the medication label clearly stated a specific temperature range. She ended up racing around the ship trying to find the medical center and arrange safe storage. It was a preventable mess. The right move? Contact the cruise line's special needs or accessibility department at least 30 days before sailing. Most major cruise lines will arrange to provide a medical-grade mini-fridge or alternate refrigeration options, but only if you ask in advance. And don't wait till you're bored. These accommodations often require paperwork and advance approvals. If you're unsure whether your medication needs medical storage, check with your pharmacist before you sail. Cruise ships are getting better about this, but only if you communicate ahead of time. Temperature-sensitive meds don't forgive mistakes. Plan early and you'll cruise with confidence. 6. Research port laws on medications. One of the biggest mistakes cruisers make is assuming their prescription meds are legal everywhere. And that's just not true. Some ports of call, especially in the Caribbean, Southeast Asia, and parts of the Middle East, treat common medications like Adderall, pain relievers with codeine, or even anxiety meds as controlled substances. And yes, people have been detained over this. Custom agents in foreign ports do random bag checks, and if your meds aren't approved or declared properly, you can face fines, interrogation, or worse. Even if the cruise line doesn't care, port security does. The fix? Do a bit of research. Look up each country on your itinerary and check their embassy or health ministry website. See if your medication needs to be declared or brought with extra paperwork. In some cases, you'll need a notarized doctor's note translated into the local language. I once had a friend almost miss reboarding in Jamaica because her prescription sleeping pills raised suspicion. Don't take that risk. Print the laws if needed and keep your pills in original labeled containers. Never loose or repackaged. One small step before your cruise can save you hours of stress in a foreign country. 7. Pack a backup supply in a separate bag. Most people put their medication in one place, and that's it. But what if that carry-on gets lost, stolen, or left behind in a taxi on embarkation day? It happens more than you'd think. Suddenly, your health and your whole cruise get compromised. The best solution is simple. Pack a backup supply of your essential medications, at least 3 days' worth, and keep it in a completely separate bag. This could be your partner's day pack, a waist pouch, or a small emergency kit inside your suitcase. Cruise ships don't carry most prescription medications on board, and even if you go ashore to a pharmacy, you'll likely need a local prescription, not to mention language barriers and brand name differences. I usually put my full supply in my carry-on and then stash a smaller kit in my toiletries bag or a hidden pocket in my backpack. I also label it clearly, just in case security flags it. It's not about being paranoid, it's about being prepared. Cruises are too short to spend 3 days in the medical center because your only pill bottle went missing. Build in that layer of protection. It's one of the smartest moves you can make as a traveler with medical needs. 8. Adjust for time zones. Here's something that sneaks up on a lot of people. Time zone changes on cruises mess with your medication schedule. If you're on strict dosing like insulin, thyroid meds, or heart medication, shifting time zones without a plan can seriously throw your body off. Some Caribbean cruises shift time forward or back without much warning, especially if you're crossing into island nations that don't follow U.S. time changes. And in Europe or Asia, the shifts are even more dramatic. Your 8 a.m. suddenly becomes 6 a.m., and then your doses get out of rhythm. Talk to your doctor before you leave. Ask how to handle shifts or when to stick to your home schedule. Some recommend a flexible window. Others will give you a dosing chart based on destination times. Personally, I use the alarm app on my phone, preset to each day's schedule. I also carry a tiny paper cheat sheet in case my phone dies or if I'm unsure of local time. Remember this, the ship's daily program will usually tell you if clocks are changing. Don't ignore that note. It's not just about making dinner reservations, it's about protecting your health when you float between countries. 9. Do not expect the ship's doctor to refill meds. Cruise ship medical centers are not full-service pharmacies. They're emergency clinics designed to stabilize you, not manage chronic health needs. Yet every week, people show up asking the onboard doctor to refill their blood pressure meds or their asthma inhalers or even hand over an EpiPen because they forgot it. And the result? Disappointment and a very expensive clinic bill. Cruise doctors don't often carry the exact brands you use, and if they do have a match, it might cost you hundreds of dollars, even for basic meds. And without your prescription on file, they might refuse altogether. The best move is simple. Bring every single medication you need in full with a few extra days' worth in case of travel delays. Assume you will not be able to replace anything once on board. Also, don't forget the over-the-counter meds you rely on, like antihistamines, antacids, or cold meds. These are available at the gift shop, but often in limited quantities and for double or triple the price. Plan like you're going off the grid, because once that ship sails, you're hours away from the nearest pharmacy, and even then you might not speak the local language. The clinic is a backup plan, but not your main supply chain. 10. Bring a travel-size sharps container if needed. If you take insulin injectables or do fingerprint blood sugar tests, this one's for you. Cruise lines typically don't provide sharps containers in your room, even in medical use cabins. And you can't just toss used needles in the trash. Improper disposal gets flagged by housekeeping, it creates a safety hazard, and might even get you reprimanded by security. I've seen cruisers caught off guard asking the front desk for help with nowhere safe to put used needles. The easy fix? Ask your pharmacy for a travel-size sharps container before you leave. They're usually free and fit easily into a toiletries bag or a drawer. Some people use hard plastic travel soap boxes as a DIY option, but official sharps boxes are safer and better to label. Once you're back home, you can dispose of it properly at your local drop-off. Some cruise lines do let you request one from the special needs department, but only if you tell them in advance. Don't assume. Plan for this like any other critical medical need. Sharp safety isn't just a rule, it's about protecting yourself, your cabin steward, and every person who cleans that room after you leave. 11. Carry a printed medication list. This one's simple, but it could save your life. If you're ever unconscious, unable to speak, or dealing with a serious reaction, your printed medication allergy list becomes your voice. Cruise ship medics, port emergency crews, even travel companions might not know your full history, and there's no guarantee they're going to have Wi-Fi to look it up. I keep a small waterproof card in my wallet with the names, dosages, and timings of all my medicines, plus any known allergies. I also tuck a copy of my passport and give one to my travel buddy. Just make sure you include your doctor's info, emergency numbers, and any instructions like take with food or don't mix with alcohol. Apps are great, but phones do die. A printed list never dies. It's not just for you, it's peace of mind for others around you. 12. Every cruise line has different medication rules. Don't assume what worked last year on Royal Caribbean's automatically going to be fine on Carnival or MSC. Cruise lines vary widely when it comes to medical device policies, refrigeration, storage, and medication restrictions. For example, some allow passengers to bring their CPAP machines or insulin coolers without documentation. Others need medical clearance ahead of time. Some give sharps containers in cabins automatically, while others only do so by request. To avoid last-minute surprises, reach out to the cruise line's special needs or accessibility department before you even book. They'll guide you through what's allowed, what's restricted, and what paperwork you might need. Some even have online forms to make it easier. When I cruised with Norwegian, they let me bring a mini fridge for my meds. Carnival, on the other hand, they need a formal request weeks in advance. It varies more than you think. Bottom line, never assume consistency across cruise lines. Always check and then double check before departure, because when it comes to health, you don't want guesswork, you want guarantees. There you go. Those are the 12 essential rules for bringing medications on your cruise in 2025. Stay safe, stay prepared, subscribe for more cruise tips, and thanks for watching.